So when I released, welcome back to Happy Little No Trees. Hey, floating around down here in the ether webs. When I released Photochemist, excuse me, one of the first questions I got was, how does it relate to Genesis or Behance or anything like that? Well, I've been playing around with Genesis side by side with Photochemist since Genesis came out. I've been working with Photochemist for about a year in different iterations, so it's kind of been interesting. It's kind of been fun. And the thing that people have asked is, can you get Genesis to look like, or can you get your thing to look like Photochemist to look like Genesis, or vice versa? I'm like, on one hand, no, and the big reason is, like, we can switch. There's a lot of similarities to what's going on. We got some work going on here in the middle. There's a lot of similarities, and you can get fairly close if you know what you're doing. I would say Genesis is easier. I would say, okay, compared to any film emulation that I've ever played with, Genesis is probably the simplest one. It has like probably the least options compared to like Dehancer or Filmbox or anything like that. It makes a really nice controlled image. So it rolls off the highlights very nice. It feels filmic. This is with grain enabled. You can see how grain's in there. 35 millimeter grain. Different grain. Emulation. I don't have any on in here. Turn it on and off. It's really nice. The thing that I would say that I don't like about Genesis is it feels rigid. What I mean by rigid is you can't separate the negative stock from the print stock. So even though it says I can switch between stocks, to me these are just presets to things that really, for me, when I'm thinking about film stocks, it doesn't mean anything. It's using a filmish term of Fuji Relaya 8592, but I can never see that apart from the print stock choice or any of my development choices. This is an entirely, like when you think about like OpenDRT, now if we were to just bring up OpenDRT, we have it down here. Like when you look at the settings for OpenDRT, it's kind of simple. You choose your input, your output. Stick shift mode lets you do a bunch of things, but you're shaping that tone mapping, that tone scaling. Like I feel like I could go into OpenDRT and change all the words to be Kodak or Fuji this or Kodak that, and say it's filmic. But it's because it's a whole complete package. You really don't. I just don't feel like I'm getting a true photochemical thing out of Genesis. Photochemist, however, the tool that I made, you do because I built it in to be able to do that, so that you can just do like we have set up here. This is just doing the negative that you made, you designed the whole thing, the negative film stock, the sensitivity, the HD curves, the dye colors. You figured that out in and of itself. And made the image be what it was going to be. You know, that's what's cool about, and you can see that, and it comes up, and that is, bam, right there. And you shape your image, and you do the thing. You can do this. Let's see. Let's just look at this for now. Let's go and tweak that, and then that should make more sense there. And our output doesn't matter. And that is our image, and it feels nice, and you get to shape all the things. And we have grain off, we can turn grain on. Kind of similar. It's a density-based grain system based on the image data and how it's processing in the film space. But I would say I like Genesis. It's simple. Simple is good. Simple comes at a price. That's why it costs money. But I would say it's just picking. I don't feel like I'm actually picking film stocks. Like I feel like I'm just picking designing a DRT that you could take all this film stuff away, versus here I've designed a negative stock and I brought it into an interpositive space that using film negative space CST, and now we're going out with the positive, out of the interpositive to back to that negative space, out through Film Chemist, and here's our print. And what's really cool about Photochemist, and this is what I've been trying to get to for a while, is I'm now grading in the pseudo film world where we've taken a digital input and I can turn this on, and now my offset control is grading in this interpositive state between the negative under the print. So like I know where things are happening and I can see it piece by piece. I can bring up all my tools like a shaper tool and pick out my greens, you know, with my shaper tool. This is mono nodes, by the way, if you're wondering. And you can shape and pick out what you want. And now I can crank on that hue and rotate my greens back to green. It's fall. That's so cool. I love mono nodes. That selection, we selected all those green trees and now they look like it's in the middle of fall. And now we can pull them all back and they are lush green. Isn't that fun? That is fun. We can boost the density of them up, or we can lower it to bring out some more shadows. And we can either saturate them and just make them rich, vibrant green. We can go down here. We can pick this. I know it's set up for skin. I was working on a different image before, but we can turn that on. We're just picking red now. Reset it to pick red, and we can find that car in this image. So yeah, this is one of the things of being able to work in that we're in the negative space, the film negative space, and we're actually grading in the film negative space. We designed our negative film stock, and now we are actually grading like you would had you done anything like that. Yeah, let's just try this. Just try to get as much of that car as it can. Grow the range a little. And tweak the luminosity till we find it, get in it. And now we can rotate that red hue back up towards red a little bit. Just kind of push down. Yeah, that's a deep red right there. And just richening that up. Kind of pull. Yeah, feeling nice. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's... And one of the things that somebody else asked is why did you make a CST for this? Why not just bake it into Photochemist? Well, because I like doing this thing called diffusion on the negative. So imagine like if you were in the process of sending your graded image off to become printed, but in the process of lighting up your stocks, you dropped some diffusion cloth in between. And you're like, wait a sec, that's weird. Let's switch this to linear. That's a little bit better. Black Pro Mist is a little funky, like Mitchell. And now, we're doing diffusion in a whole new way. We're doing things in negative space, on the negative, in the middle of the process. And it's crazy how that bleeds, just takes off some of those highlights. It actually brings in some contrast. It's fun. It's just fun. And you can play around with it before or after your color grading. It kind of just depends how you feel about interpositive stocks. So this next CST isn't technically, you're technically in a sort of way designing an interpositive stock in terms of contrast and mid-gray point. Yeah, that's fun. But it really, you can pick different ones and find in what works. Cineon might actually be nice. it just kind of makes it bleed differently. Pro Mist is heavy. Oh, Pearlescent is heavy. Mitchell Diff is pretty nice. Hollywood Black Magic wasn't too bad. You can probably take that intensity quite a bit. There we go. There we go. It's just nice. So yeah, can Photochemist ever visually match Genesis? No, don't think so. I mean, it would take you forever and a day to try to figure out what's going on. But if you want ease and simplicity and a good image that has some Filma characteristics, Genesis is good. It's a good tool. I wouldn't say no to using it. It just doesn't allow me the grading flexibility that I want in a film print emulation. But otherwise, ease and simplicity, and yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, I think that depends on if I need ease. I don't know. It'd be a hard choice. I like this. I like this. This in the middle. Not so much out in the yonder where you're kind of just in a DRT. I want to be in the dirt, in the negative space. Anyways, until next time, have a good day.